Section 3. The sovereign integral, a general model. Paragraph 81. The sovereign integral is the non-dual consciousness informed by the merging of the sovereign and the integral perspectives within the levels and lifetimes of an individuated body-ego social program. As it pertains to the human being, the sovereign integral is an aspirational beacon embedded in the social program of the dual integral and the dual sovereign that binds the three entities into one, that which we call love, but it is a different love. The sovereign integral is the consciousness where opposites unite in a sustainable harmony. Thus, the overlap between the three fractal entities, sovereign integral and sovereign integral, is the co-singular expressionary consciousness of love and intelligence. Paragraph 82. The sovereign integral is the transcendental object that has been faithfully pulling at our psyche for millions of years, as a species and as an individual. The efforts of the human search for meaning and purpose have resulted in our world today. I am suggesting in that statement that the search for meaning and purpose is really the search for the sovereign integral. And this concept, this powerful concept of our imaginary being, has been misunderstood by the body ego because it has lived in a dusty cage of words and symbols, hidden behind rituals and ceremonies. This has resulted in our collective social program, a reality that flows in the up-down waveform of duality fractured into socioeconomic, gender, ethnicity, political, geographical, and religious shards of tribalism, social mindedness, and groupthink. It is also filled with love, energy, relationships, passions, creativity, and insight. Paragraph 83. The true transcendental object is not aligned to separation, tribalism, or institutional truth, because its essence is a non-dual consciousness that is the union of all opposites within a sovereign's existence. Whatever construct of reality we immerse ourselves into, humanism, rationalism, existentialism, panpsychism, atheism, metaverse, universe, multiverse, the transcendental object, by virtue of its name alone, is outside or beyond. Unknowable is its brand. It is the pure existence of love and intelligence in all levels of reality and through all life forms. Paragraph 84. As a reader of this paper, you might wonder, why does the author, in painting one pixel of the vast canvas of consciousness, focus on the sovereign integral as the one pixel? Why that and not the supreme being? Paragraph 85. Language in any form holds concepts and information from expanding into total abstraction. What is abstraction as it relates to language? It is when a term is metaphysical in nature, like the term consciousness, but particularly when it is a fractal concept. Consciousness is unknown. We only know that it has an on-off switch via the physical body. It cannot be reduced to mathematical models. Abstraction, pure abstraction, is of the higher mind, the part of consciousness that experiences duality with a noble aim to be our bridge to non-duality. Paragraph 86. Can we really confine or contain the infinite? Even the words, diagrams, and paintings of this paper constitute a cage, perhaps larger, but it is still a cage, a limitation, due to the infinite being described by two dimensions. This needs to be frequently acknowledged, as it bonds us to a humble nature. Paragraph 87. None of us knows the ultimate truth. None of us fully understands consciousness at its very core, because the sovereign integral consciousness, as an essence, is non-dual in nature. To describe the sovereign integral as an imaginary being of perfect subjectivity, and then to imagine what or who brought this penultimate consciousness into existence, is not a legitimate subject for a nonfiction work. We are better off, in my opinion, to level our sights on the consciousness that we can imagine. Paragraph 88. Part of the reason that the creator of the sovereign integral consciousness is unknowable to the body ego is that the sovereign integral has undergone such an extensive reposition in human reality. Its human expression in the early 21st century is blunted, constricted, and institutionalized, hemmed in by an increasingly technology-dependent society. And this society is more compelling to the five senses than the imaginative experience of the sovereign integral consciousness. Paragraph 89. If our perceptions and attentions were not swayed by computer technology, it would be transportation technology, or agricultural technology, or the technology of the wheel or fire itself. This has been a recurring pattern since humanity became the byproduct of Earth so it could achieve its destiny, becoming the scribes of consciousness. Humanity is the one species living on Earth that can describe consciousness. This is possible through the activation and continuing presence of the sovereign integral within an individual's social program. Paragraph 90. Whatever the technology of the time and place, it is a natural outgrowth of the integral's attraction. Though the integral is cloaked in duality, it remains vibrant beneath the cloak, whispering to the sovereign to nudge and coax the body ego, the mind and heart, to invite the sovereign integral perspective into their social program with the intention, and this is important, of experiencing and expressing the love spoken of in the first paragraph of this section, paragraph 81. Paragraph 91. To come full circle, trying to describe the sovereign integral's miraculous creator, before we can describe a more fine-grained picture of the sovereign integral, is a waste of words, and at best, poetry unmoored to its subject. Paragraph 92. The sovereign integral can be described from any number of perspectives. It is forever in a creation state, as depicted in the diagram below. Paragraph 93. The collected sovereign is the student of duality across all expressions of the individuated consciousness. This is the identity of the sovereign as it occupies levels and lifetimes in duality. It shares its experiences, information, with the collective sovereign, which is the integral in duality. It is this that informs the sovereign integral, enabling it to evolve and expand its fractal nature to new levels of consciousness within duality, while imbuing a sense of unification of these two realms, dual and non-dual. Paragraph 94. It is quite like a massive block of marble waiting to be sculpted, and each sovereign is an artist. Some take the chisel and strike it once and step back. Others do not even grasp the chisel, sketching ideas instead, not ready to make a conscious impression upon the marble, the collective social program. Others inspect very closely, wondering what the block of marble will become, but are not interested in committing a chisel cut to the marble, fearful that they may taint it. Yet others will strike the marble until they can see an effect of their efforts, a curve or an emergent form of some kind. Paragraph 95. The sovereign integral is truly the thing that is perfectly subjective, because it is created by every sovereign. It is a collective consciousness that the sovereigns are producing like a collaborative, creative project expressed by an infinite number of artists from all species, all levels, all lifetimes. In this context, the sovereign integral is unknown, but knowable to a small degree through the imaginative faculty. It is constantly evolving in duality and constant in the non-dual levels of consciousness. This dynamic of expansionary evolution and constancy represents the poles of existence, and they are expressed through the sovereign integral consciousness simultaneously. Paragraph 96. The real challenge of defining the term sovereign integral, other than what has already been described, is that it is largely absent in our human world. When we walk within our culture and watch our collective social program, the sovereign integral is neither present or accounted for. It barely has a heartbeat. This relative absence represents the real headwinds of our human journey for meaning and purpose. How can this condition be changed so that the sovereign integral becomes a more vibrant and visible presence within our human culture? Paragraph 97. The key for understanding the sovereign integral, at least from my perspective, is to imagine it within our beliefs and intentions. This is required in order for the vibrant host, the sovereign integral, to step forward into our life and be an equal among the avatar surrogates of its human existence, the body, ego, heart, and mind. It is through this sense of equality and intermixing that they become aligned as equal partners. It is the sovereign integral, the imaginary being, that can bring alignment and equality to the whole of our human experience. This is not only its purpose, it may in fact be the meaning of life in the broadest sense. Paragraph 98. There is an evolutionary imperative on the part of the sovereign integral within human reality, and it is to use the magical capacity of intention. Thoughts, words, images, sounds, behaviors, and colors to create a new culture of expanding possibilities. This new culture is not envisioned and created by science, technology, education, government, or religion. It is not even created by spirituality. It is driven by artists. This is a space where the sovereign integral can live and breathe, lending its perspective on the two behaviors of love and free will. Paragraph 99. As I said previously, humanity is in the evolutionary process to become the scribes of consciousness. We are the one species that can describe the sovereign integral and have it become the center of our culture. The scribes are the artists. Except this is a different kind of art. It is the art of imagination and manifestation. It is to vision cast the sovereign integral so that humanity can live in harmony with nature and technology. Paragraph 100. The definition of an artist in this context is one who can imagine, with noble intention, the faint outline of the sovereign integral and express it in their life. That is it. You could be a physicist artist, a government worker artist, an attorney artist, an unemployed artist, a mother artist, a child artist. It only matters that you are practicing the intention to access the noble mind and the imaginative faculty therein. The art will come through our life, and our collective social program will expand into new possibilities with each artist's resolve and commitment. Paragraph 101. Our current models and beliefs are an outgrowth of our intentions, which are almost exclusively the expression of the body ego, and therefore derivative of prior human culture. Does it make sense that we can bring a new world of expanding possibilities using the cultural history of humankind as our inception point? Paragraph 102. These are slow movements. They take the unfoldment of vast time spans. However, and this is vitally important, as sovereigns we can shift at any point in any time. We can imagine the sovereign integral as our core self, and we can imagine what that shift means in terms of our life experience. This becomes the thread of intention that we weave into our life as thought, feeling, or activity. The intention is reciprocal. That is to say, it is both the expression, intention, and the experience, manifestation of the sovereign integral, no matter how dimly felt or understood. It is both a receiving into our body ego and an expression into our social program. Paragraph 103. Our identification with the sovereign integral consciousness, though incomplete and pixelated in low definition, allows us to see the edges of who we are, and when we do, the edges disappear. We become the drumbeat of intention to be the sovereign integral in every nowness of our life. This intention and belief is what draws the sovereign integral consciousness to become us, with all the human frailties and challenges therein. It may seem an odd mixture, but it is the intermixing of the nondual with the dual that is the human experience. Paragraph 104. On the next page, I have attempted to describe the general structure of consciousness that spans levels and lifetimes of consciousness too numerous and varied to pin a number on or describe. The footprint of consciousness moves from a creator level to a body ego and flows between these elements of its structure like blood circulating in a body. Paragraph 105. Consciousness is a reality unto itself. It is the one reality that flows between levels and lifetimes, unifying them and aligning them in meaning and purpose. It is the circuit that originates within the infinitely mysterious creator and flows throughout a consciousness, a singular, sovereign consciousness entering body-ego social programs and ingesting the learning therein, and then completing its circuit back to its creator. This is constantly occurring. It is not a sequenced series of events that culminate. Rather, it is occurring in both constancy and the up-down waveform of duality. We can each hold, in our imagination's eye, the identity of the sovereign integral as the point of cohesion of our consciousness. It is the force that binds all elements of a sovereign consciousness together, keeping them both individuated and connected. Paragraph 106. The structure becomes increasingly hard to find as you peer into its origins. The creator is the unknowable, infinite mystery, and given that the entities of the sovereign, the integral, and the sovereign integral are fractal in nature, they scale infinitely across levels. The consciousness of the creator would also be fractal, meaning that its vastness is without scale and contains all other fractal concepts. Something of that power and extent and vastness of that infinite nature cannot be contained within a single human life or a single sovereign or an integral or even a sovereign integral. It is these that are contained within the creator. The diagram, the general structure of consciousness, figure 10, could represent a fractal concept that is truly what we are all ultimately aligned to and meant to become a conscious part of. Paragraph 107. The sovereign integral, invested in a single body ego, knows how to wield the paintbrush we call life, particularly when the body ego consciously releases control of that life to the sovereign and the integral because it is activated by the sovereign integral consciousness. It is a free will decision and commitment. There is no hand on an on-off switch. The decision is made, the expansion evoked, the commitment is steeled, and the forever vision is broadening and deepening in human life. Paragraph 108. There is a gulf between the dual sovereign and the dual integral in the collective sense. However, this gulf is diminishing. The sovereign integral, once it is manifest in a body ego, splits into the sovereign and the integral. They are separate, opposite in nature. This is as true for the individual as it is for the collective, and therefore the social program perpetuates the sense of separation, confusion, and uncertainty that permeates human culture. Paragraph 109. The choice to become aware of and sensitive to the consciousness that is whole and integral is the most important choice we make as a human, because it is the inception point of the next important set of choices. For example, to experience and express this consciousness in whatever way we choose, or the choice to become this consciousness while in a human form as only we can, or the choice to express the sovereign integral's love to the realm of duality without limit or condition. Paragraph 110. Our free will grants us the opportunity to be unaware or aware, separate or part of the whole. We are the sovereign. Our choices are ours to make. But we are also the integral, so our choices are influenced, however subtly, by all species, all levels, all lifetimes. The choice is the inception point, not the intention or belief. Those follow the choice. Life is an art form, and as any artist will tell you, every stroke of the brush or incision of the chisel is either a choice, a non-choice, surrender, or a collaboration of the two. These choices are always a collaboration. They are brought to life by both the sovereign and the integral. The integral's overture. I am the oneness of all systems, and only that. I am not made of concepts or words, or light or sound, or any materialization. I am simply oneness. It is my only state. It is my only world. Because I am that, you are also that. There can be no exclusion in my world, or I do not exist at all. You are woven into my world with great care. You are enfolded within me, and therefore you are my wings, in which I move and take flight.